What's up, party people? I'm here to talk about a spooky Pokemon. It's a spooky season. I've even got a nice costume on. Yes, I may wear this costume all year, but, you know, it's Halloween, so now it's finally fitting to wear a costume. Alright, I'm going to be talking about Cofagrigus. Now, I may know what you may be thinking, which is, why the hell are you talking about Cofagrigus? It may be the spooky season, but who talks about Cofagrigus? This Pokemon's irrelevant. And you may be right. It sometimes has been pretty irrelevant, and I don't hear talk of it too often. That's what kind of happens to tanky ghost types. A little bit boring. They're not used all too often. Look at my boy Dusknoir, sadly having a career that ended up in nothing. But I was quite surprised to learn recently that Cofagrigus has actually been good before. It's been pretty dang good before. In the Gen 6 OU tier here, you can actually see that he is in the A rank when they ranked every Pokemon's viability. And yeah, that puts him along the likes of extremely popular, strong Pokemon that have been strong for many generations, like Tyranitar, Garchomp, Gliscor, Zapdos, even being among another one of his Gen 5 buddies, Bisharp, and even being better than Pokemon like Keldeo and Megatitar and Heatran and Landorus. Those are legends of the game. Those are legends of the game that you are better than. That is awesome. Now, if we look at his stats, they're not all that high in general. He's got sky-high defenses, an okay enough special attack to like at least be hitting things for some damage. But it has an especially sky-high defense, which is like way higher than its special defense, so that's clearly what it's made for. But they did the same thing to my boy Cofagrigus that they did to my boy Dusknoir. They gave it such crap HP. Why do they do this? Take a tanky Pokemon, give it really tanky stats, and then leave out the biggest one. Just no HP. Screw you. They don't even do this to Pokemon anymore. They now know they've corrected their mistakes. So now all the recent tanky Pokemon that are coming out are actually tanky, while all the tanky Pokemon of the past have to be just like barely tanky. It's a little rough, but I haven't even spoke about his design yet. I'm a big fan of Gen 5, of Black and White. It's my favorite generation, and this is the first ghost type available in my favorite Pokemon game. So that's pretty cool. Like, I really like his design. He's a cool coffin guy that has what looks like he's got these really cool shadow hands that remind me of that toy where you stick the hand to the wall. I don't even know what to call those, just those like rubber hands. I love those things, and he looks really cool with them. He's got actually a lot of Pokemon were ruined by their X and Y 3D model, but I actually think Cofagrigus is one of the few that was like almost improved. It has a really nice 3D model. I like the look of it a lot. I don't think they screwed up that one. There's some cool card artwork of it. Yeah, Cofagrigus is pretty cool, but I have a few things to mention about him. Why is he good? I have to now explain to you why he's good and why I found it so interesting to mention. The first thing we have to talk about is his extremely unique ability. No other Pokemon has this ability other than him and his pre-evolution. It's Mummy, which seems super useless at first, but I'll tell you why it's secretly Kino in a second. Mummy makes it so that other Pokemon that hit you with a physical move, a contact move at least, Pokemon that hit you with a contact move, their ability now changes to Mummy. What does that mean for them? Nothing. That's what it does, is it spreads basically having no ability to Pokemon, which has its uses. Now, let's look with this stat yield and that ability. Let's look at some Cofagrigus victims. Now think about it. With that sky-high defense, what would be the point of it? It's to hard wall some physical attackers. Let's look at the ones it does the best against. Let's look at Mega Metachan. its whole thing is its pure power ability, which doubles its attack. Its attack is usually awful at 100, but it gets doubled, and it also doubles the EVs invested into attack. So really, Mega Metacham's attack stat is like way above 200. It's like 200 and a good amount of change too, in a practical sense. So its attack is insanely amazing. Well, guess what? It hits Cofagrigus. It now gets Mummy instead of pure power. So now its attack isn't doubled, and now Cofagrigus walls it unbelievably hard. And Mega Metacham also had to rely on high jump kick back in those days. And if that move doesn't hit, you just take 50% damage immediately. So yeah, Cofagrigus is also a good switch in to Mega Metacham for that too. So yeah, that's one victim down. Mega Lopunny. Mega Lopunny, one of the most overpowered things about it is that it has the ability Scrappy, which lets normal and fighting moves hit ghost types. So what's supposed to be the counter to a normal and fighting type is just not. And normal and fighting now has perfect coverage. Well, not against Cofagrigus. It's going to hit Cofagrigus once. It'll get to use Scrappy once. But then, its ability changes to Mummy, and now it's hard walled against Cofagrigus. It can't even do damage. That's an awful situation for Mega Lopunny. And that was like a top 5-6 Pokemon in that generation. It's obscenely good. I mean, look at that speed and attack. That's wild, especially for Gen 6 standards. And Mega Mawile, while it is not an OU in Gen 6, it was banned because it was a little too good. It is in the next generation. It got unbanned, and you could do this gimmick against it in Gen 7. Because it also has huge power, like which is just the same ability as pure power, where it just doubles attack, flat out. So that that pretty bad 105 attack, like pretty mediocre usually, is insanely amazing once it just gets doubled. And Cofagrigus changes your ability to Mummy. These three, they get mummied, destroyed. I love to see the Coffin put in the work. And here are just some other Pokemon that Cofagrigus takes the attacks of pretty well, and then burns them, and then they hate their life, and the Pokemon's basically forfeit. So, including the like #1 of the tier, and 2 other pretty relevant Pokemon. Yeah, Cofagrigus puts in major work, man. He's pretty cool. He's got a lot of victims that he puts the work in against. Now to wrap up the spooky spectacle that is Cofagrigus, let's look at his move pool. This is the main thing that I would say differentiates Cofagrigus from like Dusknoir. Cofagrigus has actually a rather good move pool. Now, these are some of the most important moves he gets. Will-O-Wisp, he's a physical wall. He wants to burn physical attackers, because then they get their attack halved, and they take a lot of chip, 12% per turn. Yeah, if he Will-O-Wisp a physical attacker that he's after, they're basically over. That Pokemon is now forfeit, and is just going to be a sacrifice for the opponent later. So yeah, Will-O-Wisp is a must. It should be on every Cofagrigus. And weirdly enough, this Pokemon gets Toxic Spikes, despite not being a Ghost type. I mean, not being a Poison type. It is clearly a Ghost type. It's not a Poison type, and it gets Toxic Spikes. Pretty cool. I find it, and Toxic Spikes was an even rarer move back then, so it's pretty wild that he gets it. I kind of love it. So that's really cool. He can set up Toxic Spikes. That gives him something to do if he knows the opponent is just going to switch. It's a really good click. Shadow Ball is his most common attacking option. Not that many Pokemon resist it. Gen 6 was the generation that removed Steel resisting Ghost, so that definitely helps. And what's good about Shadow Ball is even though Cofagrigus, his special attack's not that great, Shadow Ball always has a chance to drop the special defense of the opponent. So Pokemon that like are pretty comfortable eating his Shadow Balls can wow, wording. Pokemon that are pretty pretty good at eating Shadow Ball, eating those attacks up, they might not be for long because their special defense might start dropping. And then I would often go for Pain Split because it would let the gimmick against the Megas work better. But not everybody's going to run Pain Split. But yeah, Pain Split is kind of his only healing option, as well as Rest. If you want to do some weird Rest stuff, I don't think it's really worth the move slot. And I made 2 sets to just show off some of his other good moves. He has that many good moves. You could do Hex if you know you're going to be burning things and poisoning things with Toxic Spikes. Hex is way stronger than Shadow Ball at that point, and it actually turns his like semi-mediocre special attack into kind of a nuke because Hex becomes 130 power if a Pokemon is status. That's so good. It can run Haze, which is a counter to if something's trying to set up in front of you. You can just get rid of that. It gets Knockoff. Knockoff's probably the most used move of its that I didn't put in the first set. Knockoff is a great click in general, and knocking off the items of other Pokemon just gives it something great to do. For instance, a Pokemon like Chansey usually can just switch into Cofagrigus whenever it wants and do whatever because Cofagrigus doesn't threaten Chansey at all. Well, now Chansey would be less comfortable switching in because it does not want its item knocked off. And then it's even a Trick Room setting Pokemon, which is a decently rare move, so if you want to do a little Trick Room gimmick team, he's actually a pretty good choice to throw on there. So yeah, he has a really good move pool. Cofagrigus has a lot to do, and I just quite like the Pokemon. I like trying to make a pretty decent physically defending Ghost type. I've never used it in a playthrough, but now I think I have to. It's just a little too awesome. And I'm kind of feeling the spooky season. I love Gen 5 Pokemon, and I just started to like another one. So yeah, there was some talking about Cofagrigus. He's a cool guy. You should like and subscribe if you want, because that would be cool. I would appreciate it. I recently hit 420 subscribers, which is awesome. That's low weed number. That's funny weed number. I'm so glad I hit that. Now let's get on to something more substantial. Let's hit 1,000. That's what I gotta aim for. That's when I can try to get monetized. That would be kind of interesting. But I don't need to get there quite super fast. Only if you want to subscribe. It is a free option. Anyways, Cofagrigus is awesome. You better have a good day. That is a demand, not a request. Bye-bye.